You're listening to a Whales Are Whales production.
You're also listening to Whales.
Visit whalesorewhales.com for more projects and shows like this one.
Greetings.
Hello, and welcome to Hearthaholics, a Hearthstone strategy podcast about sitting back, chatting with friends, and figuring out how to be more awesome at this game. I should pre-record that sometime. I am Bryan, your host, and this is episode 17. Joining me today is Andres. How you doing, Andres?
Hey, Bryan. I'm pretty good. Contrary to your opinion, I don't think you should pre-record that. I like the spontaneity. How do you say that word?
Spontaneity.
Yeah, there you go.
Spontaneousness.
Of it.
I know, and in the end, it makes the show more natural. People can enjoy seeing a full flub bet every week and making bets. Speaking of making bets, if anyone made bets that Billy wouldn't make it this week, they would be correct.
I don't know why they would make any bets about that, but if they did, yeah, they definitely won.
Yeah, I mean, if you were the random person that did, that was strangely insightful of you. Also, now I'm worried that you kidnapped Billy to make money. So call me paranoid. But yeah, he's off somewhere in the Australian wasteland. We're not sure where, but probably battling giant spiders at the moment.
It's a dangerous place over there, so we don't really know where he's at.
In fact, he's probably battling a ball of spiders.
Yeah, who knows? He could be macheting his way back home.
Exactly. So hopefully he'll appear mid-episode. But for now, it is an especially apt phrase, the show must go on. Quite literally.
Absolutely.
All right, Andres. So before we jump into all those awesome new cards this week, how's your last week of Hearthstone been?
I am a little sad and ashamed to say that my week of Hearthstone has not been very, very productive. I have not been playing as much as I would like to.
Yep.
I've been having to dedicate time to a lot of other stuff.
Yeah.
But I'm hoping that once this month ends, I can go back to focusing a little more on video games. Once I get some of work stuff and personal stuff out of the way. So I'm working on that this month and preparing for next month, which is when I want to spend the most time in Hearthstone possible.
Oh yeah,
because it's gonna be very, very exciting.
Do you think you're gonna go for a Legend season right out the gate when this launches?
We'll see. I whenever an expansion comes out, I really just like taking that month as a training month because honestly, you don't really know what's gonna happen, right?
Yeah. You don't want to just. Yeah, go ahead.
I was gonna say you don't know what decks are gonna spark out, and yeah, you don't want to just get too serious and too committed when there's so much stuff to learn, right?
I feel if you just take one deck and run with it, you're not really learning the most you can. You're kind of just exploiting the system. I'll take the most aggro deck, or I'll just keep playing Face Hunter and exploit all these people who are trying new things. But in the long run, those people who are trying new things are going to be discovering the next patron or figuring out the next really good deck.
And yeah, you could stick to the stuff that you know and get a couple of wins because other people are experimenting. But then you're depriving yourself of one of the funnest aspects of games like this. When there's new cards, there's so much theory crafting and experimenting. Totally. And there's a very brief period of time, especially if you try to stay away from Reddit and streams and the internet, where it's just you and the new cards, and it just feels kind of like a new game again.
Right.
Where the first time you open Hearthstone and you looked at some of the cards, you're like,
knife juggler, what is this?
Yeah, I wonder if I can combine this with this. And it's a really cool moment for me, right? It's like that discovery moment where you're seeing the new stuff that is happening, cool new interactions you had no idea about. Those aha moments. I don't know. Those are one of my favorite parts of this game.
Yeah. That said, I probably will be taking mid-range Zoo onto the ladder a few times just to beat people.
Who knows? Maybe you'll take a new and improved version of mid-range.
Yeah, right? I'm really excited which cards will fit into that. It's going to be really interesting to see.
Yeah, for sure. How about you? How's your Hearthstone week going?
I've had a similar week to you in that life has been a lot more present than playing Hearthstone. So for me, one thing is I'm preparing to go out of town this week because I'm going to Nerdtacular, which is...
Oh, that is so fun.
the convention that Frog Pants put on, and they're the network that has the Angry Chicken. So I'll be able to meet the hosts that originally inspired the show.
That is really awesome.
Yeah.
I didn't know that you were attending Hearthaholics. That is really cool.
Yes, it'll be my first year doing that, so I'm super excited about that. Can meet, even a couple of fans of our show will be there. So
yeah, nice.
I'm looking forward to meeting
Hearthaholics represent.
Totally. So I'm so excited about that. But this week's also been super crowded because it was also my brother's birthday. So a couple days ago, he turned 25, so I celebrated that by taking some time off, just spending some time with him, playing video games, hanging out. Very important. Spend some time with the things we don't have as much time for now that we're both working so much.
Yeah. It's the same with my brother. I used to have a really close relationship with him. I lived together with him for the most part of my life.
Right.
But now that we both have like separate jobs and stuff, I rarely get to see him. So it's important to spend some time with the family.
Totally. So that was super fun. It was nice taking some time off, but it did mean less Hearthstone. What I did in Hearthstone, just a couple games. I'm still hovering around rank 5.
Same here. I got up to rank 5, and I don't know. I feel that's my minimum to not feel bad about my rank. It's just to get it up to rank 5.
Yeah, I can look at my friends list and say, well, I'm ahead of most of these people, so I'm doing okay, right? But I did start an arena run. I actually tried Hearth Arena for the first time.
Nice. Is that the website where it kind of tells you what to pick?
Yeah, Adwicta or whatever made this website, and it's a very odd name, but hey, it works. And you can go there and input all of your cards, and it gives you suggestions, etc. And I agreed with most of them. I didn't take all of the picks, but it was a good way to kind of see what the established tiers were.
I feel like that's a very good tool, especially for people who are trying to learn how to make decks in the arena, who maybe are not as experienced, because at least you get a guideline of like what a generally good deck would look like, right?
Right, exactly. It's kind of like net decking in that you need to understand the fundamentals before your decisions will really make any difference. So it's good to understand what is the established meta for arena and then make your few tweaks based on that. You don't have to do everything it says, but it does give you kind of that basis. So that was good. I created a mage deck, but I think my big difficulty with it is it's a pretty tempo-y mage deck where I have a ton of 2-drops and it curves out like perfectly, but I'll open pretty aggressive, get my opponent down to maybe 8-6 health, and then I'll run out and I got no fireballs. So I just don't have that closer. I have no charge. I have no fireballs. So if I kind of burn out and then they control my board, I don't really have anything to end.
Yeah, you don't have the reach.
So every game has been really close that I've won, but I'm currently at 3 wins and 2 losses. So it's nothing crazy.
Sometimes that happens in arena, right? You build like a certain style of deck that kind of maybe relies on having that sort of thing, and then you end up drafting it. So you kind of have to adapt your strategy. Maybe be more conservative about your minions and stuff like that, because you're gonna need that last little piece of steam.
Yeah. So they've been pretty fun games, but the very sad game I lost is when I had 4 minions up, and none of them were really important except my Trogzor, and someone mind control teched my Trogzor. Well, there goes that game. But yeah, it's been kind of nice getting back into arena. But whenever I play arena, I play it a couple of games, and I'm like, I miss playing mid-range zoo, and I'll just go back into the ladder. I feel so much more in control of ladder games. Yeah,
there is something to say about decks that are already established, have been tried and tested, and are just very solid, well-rounded. You just feel that with those decks, you just... Even on the hands that you don't draw that well, you have comeback mechanisms that you feel like you have a chance.
You have a game plan. Yeah, you can kind of predict what your opponent's doing. In arena, it's okay. But the other thing about arena is never count yourself out, because you don't know how terrible your opponent's remaining hand is.
Yeah, absolutely. And they might start really good and then just not draw into anything, because those decks are not as consistent, definitely, as the ladder decks.
Oh no. And then sometimes just late game of Flame Strike can just completely turn the game around because they dumped their hand and now they have nothing.
Yeah, absolutely.
So yeah, it's pretty light Hearthstone week. So let's go ahead and just jump into these new cards here.
Sure. One last thing I just remembered. I think at the end of this week, I'm going to try attending my very first live Hearthstone tournament.
Ooh.
I'm super excited. It's at this place here in Atlanta called Battle and Brew, and it's like a internet cafe, and they have console games, and they have a bar and a restaurant place. So it seems like a really cool place. I've heard a lot about it. I've never been to it myself. But I'm going with a couple of friends, and they normally do pretty serious tournaments, like Conquest style, with 16 to 32 people. I feel like they started doing fireside gatherings at the beginning of every month. For the past like 3 months or something. So I've been meaning to go, but I haven't had a chance. So I think this Sunday I'm gonna go over there. So if there's any Atlantans that listen to this show and maybe are into Hearthstone, maybe you guys wanna go over there and kick it with me.
That's great. So you said it was Battle and Brew was the name of it?
Battle and Brew on Sunday here in Atlanta.
What time will the tournament start?
I think it starts at 5 p.m.
Cool. That sounds like fun.
Yeah. I think that this week they are doing a Tavern Brawl tournament too.
Oh gosh, we don't even know what the Tavern Brawl is going to be yet.
I was excited because I was curious to see what the Tavern Brawl for this week is going to be, because depending on that, the tournament is going to be quite different.
We're at a very strange moment where it's completely in flux. So everyone thought it was going to be Portals. Then apparently it came out and it was a repeat of the Rag versus Nefarian. And now Blizzard has tweeted that it's a mistake. So currently we are not sure where the heck it's actually going to go. My guess is it's going to be Portals.
Well, once the episode goes live, this will probably be fixed and we'll know what the Tavern Brawl is.
Yeah.
But yeah, as we're recording, we have no idea.
Yeah. So we'll see. It might even be mid-episode we get an answer to this. It's very in the air. Because I think the Brawl's about to open for me. It's going to open in like 20 minutes. So we'll see if it's changed by then.
Oh, cool.
All right, so now we'll move on. So as the all these cards are released for the Grand Tournament, we're actually switching up our show format like we did last week to just, instead of each bring our own topic of discussion, we're just going to talk about all of the new cards that have been announced since our last episode. Because we really want to devote time to really getting in depth on these, because it really is a fun time in Hearthstone's life when these new cards are coming out. Though this week we might also be able to fit in some listener topics afterwards. We'll see how many rabbit trails we get down on this discussion.
At least this time we don't have as many cards to talk about.
That's
true. We can spend a little more time in each card, which I kind of like.
Totally. And the first card we have here, in no particular order, just the order I wrote them down in, we have Wilfred Fizzlebang.
Oh, baby.
This is the new legendary Warlock card. Do we still expect to get one legendary per class, do you think?
I would guess so. I wouldn't think it would be more than one legendary.
Yeah, because GVG had one legendary per class.
Yeah, so. I mean, maybe, but I doubt it.
So you've got Wilfred Fizzlebang. This is a 6-cost Warlock legendary with 4 attack and 4 health. And it reads, cards you draw from your hero power cost 0.
That's right, 0. 0
now,
mana.
I know this isn't how it works, but I would love it if Priest could Thought Steal, and then when they have a Northshire Cleric and heal with their hero power, that this would trigger. But I don't think that's how it would work, but that would be kind of rad.
Yeah, I don't think that would work that way.
So when I first saw this card, I was trying to evaluate how useful it would actually be. And so, something that's useful with cards like this is what is the effect you can guarantee? And the effect for Wilfred, the best effect you could guarantee without something else affecting the board, I believe, would be drawing 1 card and getting free and then putting 8 mana into it. So it'd basically
like playing in the 8th turn.
Right. So
and
pay
drawing
8 mana,
instantly with a hero power.
Get a 4 attack, 4 health minion, draw a card, and that card costs 0. So if you think about like a 4 attack, 4 health minion, that's, worth maybe about between 3 and 4 mana. And then drawing a card and it costing nothing? Like, how much is that worth? Is that even in the game right now? Farsight's similar.
The thing, it's similar, but Farsight reduces it by 3, right? And then you don't put any minions on the board. So you can have a big tempo loss. With this one, it's a little smaller, because at least you have a 4/4 on the board. So your opponent at least is going to be forced to remove him, right? Because you cannot leave Wilfred Fizzlebang on the board.
So let's imagine... Yeah, like playing it in handlock, maybe a normal minion you could get out of this is like Twilight Drake. That's like maybe in the mid-range of something good you could get from your deck. So for 8 mana, you're playing a Twilight Drake and a 4/4. That's pretty good. Like, that's not... Even if you just get 1 draw out of him, that's not like a bad outcome.
This is also thinking like we can add Wilfred to like handlock and stuff like that. And you could... It's not bad in that deck, but I don't think it fits the idea of that deck either, because it doesn't necessarily benefit from your card draw. It just makes your card draw really insane.
Right, and you're not necessarily running out of mana a lot with handlock, necessarily. Like, it seems like
you're usually trying
to play your
put other threats out there. But maybe in this new type of Warlock where I don't know, maybe you want to combo certain cards. The thing is, you can get so much value out of it, but you can also lose so much tempo. If the card that you draw is, for example, like a Mortal Coil or something like that, then you can be in a little bit of trouble because it's only a 4/4, right? So he's not going to pose a big threat to your opponent. It's going to be easy to remove with any creatures he has on the board, or most removal.
It's interesting. Like, I'm not sure the scenario in which he's helpful yet because, like you said, you lose tempo, and that's something you really don't want to be doing with something like mid-range Zulak. You don't necessarily want to be slowing yourself down late game. You want to be closing the game out, and Wilfred doesn't necessarily help with that.
Yeah. On the other hand, though, like this guy can literally win you the game on the spot. If you, for example, draw like, I don't know, Jaraxxus, or you draw a Molten Giant, or I don't know, something huge like Dr. Boom. Imagine you play this guy in 6 or in turn 8. You draw Dr. Boom, and then you play Dr. Boom. So you get Wilfred and Dr. Boom on turn 8. That's
something else that's important about him with this new set, though, as you talk about with a lot of cards, is your hero power is going to be better than it is right now. Like, all of your Inspire cards are going to be inspired on that turn 8. If you've discounted your hero power to 1, you can play him on turn 7 and do this. So it's like there are a lot of benefits that are going to come from the fact that he's encouraging you to use your hero power.
I'm very curious to see what other cards complement your hero power, and if there's ways of discounting your hero power as Warlock. Is that card that discounts the hero power is a neutral?
Yes, it is a neutral. The Maiden of the Lake, I think.
Oh, that's right. But it costs 4. It's an expensive card too, and its stats are not very offensive, or kind of like on the defensive side. But
yeah, I'm not sure how much it'll actually be run. We'll see.
So I don't know. It's interesting because I feel like we've gotten a lot of like the meaty cards, but we haven't gotten a lot of the support cards for these type of mechanics.
That's true. Yeah. I think Wilfred has some good flexibility. He seems pretty good while you're ahead.
Yeah,
he can be underwhelming.
He seems really cool.
He can be a little underwhelming if you're behind on the board, I think, and you're kind of losing the game.
Although top decking this guy might not be bad, right? Like if
top decking would be nice.
Yeah, if you top deck it like on turn 8 or beyond, like Wilfred might be a really good top deck, right? Because you can probably play whatever. You can play anything that you draw after him.
Right, totally. So he has a lot of flexibility. He's one of those cards that's like, he's going to be heavily dependent on what sort of archetypes are built up later because his ability is nice, but it can be just kind of useless in a lot of decks because he himself isn't that powerful. So it'll be interesting to see.
Maybe a different kind of Warlock too.
Yeah. I mean, like you said, something combo-y would be really interesting.
Yeah, something combo-y where you can get like a combo piece for free or something ridiculous like that.
Right. All right, next up we have the North Sea Kraken. This is also a minion, though it is neutral. It is 9 cost and a common rarity. It is 9 attack and 7 health, and Battlecry, deal 4 damage.
So he's just a big dude, right?
Yeah. This is interesting to see. It's a big dude, but this time he's got a crazy Battlecry.
I think this guy comes from the need, especially for things like arena and stuff, where there's not that many like really high cost neutral minions, or for even things that have like special effects like Recombobulator and stuff. There's not that much up there in that rank aside from legendaries and really like good creatures. So maybe this is kind of like their way of putting more meat up there, right?
Right, and also for new players who want to, when these crazy tavern brawls come out that let you play super powerful cards, give you a ton of mana or whatever, it's kind of nice to have these options to have this late game curve if you don't have Kel'Thuzad.
Yeah, absolutely. It's nice to have big minions that are not necessarily legendary or, epic or stuff like that. We want some common minions that are up there too. That
said, I think almost every constructed deck is going to have a high curve they want more than this. Like, I don't think this is going to
absolutely. Yeah, I don't think this guy is going to make it into any ladder decks. For arena, this guy might be a solid, big guy.
Yeah, but imagine Wilfred Fizzlebang into this.
Oh, the possibilities.
You have yourself a combo. You can deal 4 damage to Wilfred Fizzlebang and keep trading.
I mean, a 9/7 that deals 4 damage Battlecry 4/0. That sounds really good.
Yeah, all I can say about this guy really is let's get cracking. Moving on to our next card, Clockwork Knight. This one's a little more interesting, partially just because of the art. I encourage everyone to look this art up. It's
oh my god,
amazing.
I love this art. This card is one of my favorites just because of the artwork. It's so cool.
Yeah, I'm with you there. It is a common rarity minion, 5 cost. It reads 5 attack and 5 health. It is a mech type, and the card text is Battle Cry. Give a friendly mech +1/+1. This seems good for like a kind of tempo-y mech deck.
Yeah, like more of a mid-rangey. I imagine maybe like, I don't know, maybe for priests. Or
that could work.
Yeah, like a more meaty kind of mech.
It's interesting.
They already have a 5/5 that gives health, so I don't know if they would need something like that.
Right. It's kind of like a... Oh, yeah, they do, right. Isn't that it's also a mech?
Yeah.
Huh, I totally forgot about that. Yeah, priest mech never
nobody
really became
replaces that guy, but he exists.
And it's interesting, like, to see some mech synergy back, because they haven't really been focusing on that so far.
I love that they are still thinking about the other tribes and stuff, right? They still give a little mechs, and maybe there's a couple more mechs other than this one, so it'd be nice to see if maybe other classes can start taking advantage of the mech tribe, or maybe we can see some innovations to some of the mech decks, because right now the mech decks are pretty stale, right? They're just how they were meant to be from GVG, and that's it.
Right, yeah. Yeah, we haven't seen a new archetype. Basically, mech, mint, mage, and that's it. It's that arena.
And actually mech shaman is doing quite good, surprisingly. A lot of people hate on shaman, but lately that mech shaman has been doing some strides. Have you seen? I mean, this is a little deviation, but I think it's worth talking about it. Have you seen the Archon League team?
I've seen some of it, but not actually many of the recent matches.
Shaman is one of the most played decks in their compositions. That some of the top teams right now are definitely including Mech Shaman in there, because it's a deck that just outright like takes a win, right, and steals it out of the way before they can do anything about it. And since it's kind of like the conquest style format, this deck really shines in there, because it can just win against some of the best decks out there and just steal that win, and then once it's won, it's out of the way.
Right. Yeah, it's interesting to see Shaman. I'm curious because I still don't see Shaman on the ladder. Again, I haven't been playing a lot recently, but hasn't really come back. So Shaman seems to be one of the classes that's getting the most overworked in this expansion, at least to me.
For sure. They've released a lot of Shaman cards already, so it seems like they want to kind of give it a little spotlight. Yeah,
with Shaman being so like aggressive right now, I'm curious how the totems are going to play into that. Like, they don't necessarily seem like the most aggressive strategy. That seems like a more mid-rangey kind of control angle for a Shaman.
True.
A board control type angle.
Yeah, so, we'll see how those totems work. They do seem a little more mid-rangey rather than the aggressive, I'm going to go for it.
I'm going to murder you with a Fell Reaver or whatever. It seems to be the current Shaman way of winning. This Clockwork Knight, though, I think the thing that makes him really good is his ability isn't crazy, but a lot of 5-drops that have an ability are not 5/5s. Like, almost all of them. Like, Lotheb is kind of an exception, but, Sludge Belcher is a 3/5, and Blackwing Corruptor is a 5/4, Azure Drake's a 4/4, so, like, it's tough to get this good of stats on a 5-drop.
For sure. A 5/5 for 5 is pretty solid stats, and keep in mind this guy gives +1/+1, so technically you're getting a 6/6 for 5.
And that's a question. It doesn't say give another friendly mech. Does that mean you give him +1/+1?
I don't know if you can target him, right? Because the battle... I doubt that you would be able to target him.
Yeah, I think you're right. You can't self-target with the battle cry, can you?
No, I don't think you can.
Okay, gotcha.
I think you have to, before it's in play, you have to target the battle cry, so there's no way.
Yeah, you're right, because if User Sergeant reads give a minion +2. Okay.
Yeah. So you have to definitely give it to another mech. But at the same time, the +1/+1 is not like super impressive, but it's something that works really well into mech decks that are looking for board presence and mech synergy, right? So you want to keep your mechs alive for as long as possible and make value trades. So it works for that kind of strategy. So I don't know. I think for a common card, this is a very decent common card, especially for Arena. It just gives it like a little more mech volume. So I don't know. I like it.
He's solid. Again, it's something that new players will easily be able to implement into like their mech mage decks if they're working on that. And it's just a good, solid way to curve those decks out. So Nothing crazy exciting, but this is the best artwork.
Yeah,
so.
and it's a mech that is on the upper end, right? Neutral mechs are not like super resilient. They're more on the lower end of the mana cost, and they're tiny minions. So I don't know. This gives it a little more range to that type of deck.
Totally. And this is a way you can get a 2/2 Boombot. So you know.
And probably exciting. The golden version of this guy is gonna look badass. So
oh man, yeah, I might actually craft that one. Break my streak. All right, next up we have the Savage Combatant. This is a rare Druid card, a 4-cost minion. It has 5 attack, 4 health. It is a beast type, so Beast Druid is coming back into the fray. And it reads, Inspire. Give your hero +2 attack this turn. So basically what it reads is change your hero power to gain 3 attack and 1 armor while this guy's on the board.
Technically, yeah. I mean, this guy is a powerhouse.
Yeah. Before you play this guy on turn 6, you get a 3, attack removal. So it's almost like if you play him on turn 6, it's actually very close to a fire elemental.
Yeah, very true. This guy is scary. I mean, as soon as you play this guy, your opponent's going to go like, whoa, okay, I need to get rid of that. The 4 health does make it so that your opponent might be able to remove it easily. Yes. But if your opponent does not remove it easily, you're in for a little beating because this guy's going to hit you for 7.
Yeah, he's going to hit you for 7. In addition, like, what's kind of cool about this card is it really buffs your combo if he's on the board.
Oh my god, it does. Combo. Yeah, absolutely.
Not only is he 5 attack and another minion, he's getting another 2 onto your hero's swing.
Yeah, absolutely. If you have this guy on the board and you have Savage Roar in your hand, like, whew, maybe like a couple other minions, like that's quite a bit of damage. Right. Also, not to mention, this is probably the best looking bear I've ever seen in my life.
He's so happy. Like, yeah, well, not just happy, but he's just
like this posing with smile, like muscles and like smiling.
Oh, I love it.
All the ladies are gonna flock to this bear.
Can we tell what kind of druid that is? Is that a Tauren because of the horns?
It looks like a Tauren. Yeah. Yeah. The horns kind of give it away.
Yeah. But yeah, so do you think this guy will be showing up like in mid-range? I can't see it like in ramp necessarily. Maybe it could be in there.
Maybe not in ramp. And then maybe the combo druid. I don't know if the combo druid might still prefer shredders on the fourth
to
slot,
keep something on the board.
Because they're a little more resilient and they're not as aggressive as this guy is, but they just last a little longer.
I wonder if like an aggro druid could be a thing where you're just like innovating out threats, just getting on the board fast and then going face.
The only thing is, this kind of like alludes to a beast druid, right? But then it seems like this beast druid is gonna be kind of like a mid-rangey aggressive style. Which
that makes sense. That's how you get the most value out of like the Druid of the Fang, getting that 7/7 out early. It's kind of an aggressive play.
Yeah, now you have like a really good curve to get the Druid of the Fang out.
You can do Druid of the Fang. You can do Savage Combatant on 4, Druid of the Fang on 5, and Mech Bearcat on 6. And you just got different beasts every turn.
Which is cool. I like it. Although this kind of keeps Druid in the same vein that they've been going around, right? Just like these scary creatures that can get buffed in one turn and just like stampede you to your death.
Right. It's a little bit of, again, it's a lot of green from Magic for people who play that. It's very similar.
It's kind of like that style.
So I like this. I like it because also it brings the Inspire back. It's a threat that you have to remove, and it's an interesting way to like buff your hero power. I think it's a good card in pretty much any situation as well, because not only does it have that aggressive power, but it has removal power that doesn't threaten the card itself.
Yeah, I wish
really nice.
I wish Druids had a mechanic like Trample in Magic.
Yeah,
where
like get their taunts.
Yeah, like for example, this guy with Trample would be so nice. Like let's say you have 7 attack and you hit a taunt that has 4 defense or something like that. The 3 attack that is left over, rather than being lost, just goes straight to the other hero. That's kind of what happens in Magic, and I feel like Druid could really use a mechanic like that.
Right. Well, an important note is this guy doesn't get 7 attack; he gives your hero more attack.
Oh, give your hero 2 attack this turn. Oh.
So that's why it's like really good removal, is because you can like remove something with your hero and it doesn't even hurt the combatant.
Oh, wow. That just changed like my whole perspective. I don't know how I missed that. I thought that he was gaining 2 attacks.
No, well, I like this effect way more.
Pointed that out. Wow. Okay, so that changes things a little bit.
I think the main thing it changes is the fact that you can remove threats without threatening your actual minion.
Yeah, absolutely. Really nice. So no, this guy is very good at like, I don't know, defensive power too.
Yeah.
A 3 attack hero power is insane.
Yeah. That's what I love about it. It's a really cool card.
So I was seeing this guy more of being like on the offensive side.
Down.
But this guy is kind of like a hybrid of both. Like the 5 attack itself makes him scary, right? It will hurt if it hits your opponent. But the +2 attack to your hero power gives you not only offensive power if you want it, but a lot of board control.
Yeah. Yeah, so I like how versatile he is, which is what I think the most important thing about Druid is its versatility.
Man, I like this bear more and more.
yeah. I really, really hope this card sees play. I love the idea. I love the artwork of it. So
yeah, no, that's really cool. Very, very cool card. I'm excited to see what happens with this card.
Yeah, totally. Speaking of exciting cards, we have Tournament Medic. I don't actually know if this is exciting. I just love the stats because this is new. This is a common minion, not priest. Any class can use this. 4 cost, 1 attack and 8 health. Inspire, restore 2 health to your hero. So it basically gives everyone a self-targeting hero power whenever priest hero power whenever you play your hero power.
Wait, this triggers when everyone plays their hero power?
No, just like it's any class. It's not like if your opponent plays their hero power, but like if you're a hunter and you go face, you're going to heal yourself for 2 when this guy's out.
Yeah. This guy is cool. It makes up for a shortcoming that priests have, and sometimes is that they're trying to play so defensively, trying to keep their minions on the board because that's how they get ahead. Their hero power only works if you can target your minions and get value out of that, right? Or as a stall mechanic. But then what happens when the pressure gets too high and you are trying to heal your minions, but you're running like too low on your health. And this happens a lot when you fall behind against aggro, which priests usually handles aggro pretty well. But on the cases where it does fall behind, or especially against mid-range, where they have like super big creatures, and the only way you can stay ahead is by healing your creatures. This guy kind of like solves that shortcoming that they have, I feel. Right.
I think the interesting thing is it can apply to other classes as well, like Warlock. Their hero power now does not hurt them. Huzzah! Which is kind of cool.
That is true.
And Inspire happens after, so even if you're at 30 health, you'll still heal back up because you'll tap first and then Inspire. Something else I'm thinking is just like an anti-aggro or an anti-face hunter, you drop this card on 4, the face hunter has to remove it, but it has 8 health.
So this is an amazing stall card. So this is what I was talking about where I was saying like what cards are you gonna introduce to slow down your opponent so you can actually hero power this many times. And this looks like in the vein of that.
Right. That's one thing that absolutely does it. Like, again, back to the Face Hunter example, you're putting down 8 health that they kind of have to remove because they can't have you gaining 2 health every single turn.
Yeah, that's too much of a bonus, right? They're going to fall behind if they just leave this guy alone. But the 8 health is...
Yeah, so many of their minions are like 1 health. So, like, hit it with a Leopardome or hit it with a Wolf, and you're just losing so much of your attack power.
Anti, like, super aggro. This card is...
And then throw Defender of Argus on it, and it's just like, what do you do?
Or imagine if you're a priest, right? And you play, what's his name? Deathlord on turn 3, and you play this guy on turn 4. And now
here's the problem with this card. Patron.
Patron,
so bad.
Not very good. Not very good against Patron. That is for sure.
Like they can get They can get 3 patrons off this one card, and all of this patrons will be 3.
This seems definitely like a tech card that you would put against aggro, right? Maybe even like a one-off in your Inspire deck to just keep you alive until you can establish your board control. Or you can like balance things out, and then that's what it is. It just looks like a stall guy.
This seems like a good card.
This is just a common too. Like it's kind of like a heal bot in a way, right?
Yeah, totally. And it reminds me of back when I was saying, how do I counter Hunter with mid-range Zoo? Like this is one of the cards we could have discussed because it's like something you can throw in there that, similar to the Mistress of Pain, not only is it gain you health, but it's basically aggroing 8 damage. Like they have to do something about it.
Absolutely. Or imagine this guy plus Villain's Chosen. I don't know why I keep thinking about Priest.
Oh man,
maybe it's just because of the health, but it just seems that Priest could really use this card with such a high amount of health for the
I
cost.
mean, this card is another card that makes Inner Fire tempting.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
You can get an 8/8 for 5 mana that restores 2 health to your hero. That's like Fel Reaver with an upside instead of a downside.
Absolutely. It's
one of those times. And then if you start going crazy with Divine Spirit Inner Fire and you start getting... Yeah.
Yeah, I was thinking like even for Totem Shaman, if you're like doing like an inspired totem deck where you want to totem up as much as possible.
Because Shaman doesn't have a lot of life gain.
It doesn't have much life gain aside from the other totem that they have, which is a totem, so I guess they could include it in there. And suddenly you have a ton of life gain in that deck. Like, you want to be hero powering every turn because you want to have all your totems. And then you get 2 health with it too.
Yep.
I don't know. It's an interesting card. I think we might see this guy in some inspired decks for sure.
Yeah. It's a card with a very specific purpose. You just don't want to just be throwing a couple of these guys in for turn 4 curve. Like, it's not going to be a staple of your deck, but it's like a good little thing to have to kind of, like you said, just draw out your game. But you need to have a game plan going forward because he himself isn't going to do much.
Yeah, it definitely looks like a situational card.
Totally.
You didn't just throw it in there, but it can counter some stuff pretty well.
I just like how it's like a brick wall. Like
I don't think it even needs taunt, right? Like, this card almost has like auto taunt.
Yeah, I know. It's like you have to, if you're going face, you got to deal with this guy because he's going to just harass your board and they're going to buff him and he's going to gain them life. Like, against a priest, they could just be getting 4 life every turn. It's like, you got to do something.
But you're right. If you're facing like a control warrior or a patron warrior, this guy suddenly looks a lot worse.
Totally. All right, so this is probably my least card of the set we have up here
Your
so
least
far
favorite?
next, which is the King's Defender. This is a 3-cost weapon. It is a rare. Is it a warrior card?
I believe it is because of the little red frame that it has in there.
Yeah, I don't know the weapon frames too well, but I believe so. There's got to be some class card. It is 3 attack and 2 durability, and it reads Battlecry. If you have a minion with taunt, gain +1 durability. So why I don't like this card that much is even if it was a 3-cost, 3 attack, 2 durability weapon, or sorry, 3 attack, 3 durability weapon, I'm not sure I'd play that over Fiery War Axe, which is the 2 cost for 1 less durability. It's just like that.
Yeah.
Being able to get a weapon out on turn 2 is so important.
Yeah.
And that's not even counting the fact that it's situational that you get that extra durability.
Yeah, it's like, so it's basically a Fiery War Axe that costs 1 more that has a chance at being very slightly better.
Yeah. Oh, now I'm confused because underneath the card text says, like in the alternate thing, for each friendly minion with taunt, gain +1 durability. So I'm not sure which it is. We're going to assume it's for each. But how often do you have multiple taunts up with warrior?
I don't know. This is a little weird because I think there was some discussion about this card where some people were saying that it was the +1 durability per taunt, and some people were saying that no, that's a mistake and it's only just 1 durability. Because that does change things, right? Like,
yeah, totally.
If it's per taunt minion, then suddenly this card looks a lot better, and then maybe you can build around this card, right? Like, taunts are not necessarily bad, and if you're trying to combat aggro, if you can put like Annoyatrons, maybe like Sludge Belcher,
and then have a weapon that has like 3 attack and you can hit 4 different things with it. Yeah, that really slows stuff down.
Yeah, like you can get really, really defensive. If it's only +1 durability, then it's not terrible. It might be great for arena where you want like this kind of weapons. But that being said, I wouldn't see it getting fit into like some of the current archetypes of warrior.
Right. That said, I'd love to see like a turtle warrior archetype, which is just like control warrior, except like all taunts in this card and just like armoring up. And
you could do like I don't know, mill warrior could be a thing because armor is literally the only thing that can drive you into fatigue and make you last a lot of turns in there. So I think like warrior is the most well-equipped class to prolong the game for as long as possible.
Imagine a ton of taunts and then you play this and then you have a medic behind it, so you're armoring up, healing yourself, removing the threats with your weapon.
Yeah, I feel like, I don't know, they're getting a lot of defensive capabilities, which is kind of scary, especially for the decks that have a finite amount of damage. Like, they could very well be a warrior that just aims to armor up to incredible values and just run at your opponent out of like all damage.
I kind of like that idea. That sounds pretty fun to me.
Sounds like right up your alley, huh?
But yeah, this card, as we say this quite a bit, but as the current archetypes stand, I don't think you like ever have 2 taunts up with warrior.
Not as of right now, especially because you're mostly playing like 1, maybe 2 cards per turn with control warrior, and then the patron warrior. You don't want taunts, right? You're a combo deck, so you're not trying to go into like that realm. Some people take in sludge belchers, but that's about it.
Right. So it's an awkward card right now, but again, if warrior becomes way more defensive, this could be a really interesting card for that.
I don't know. I could see that happening. I think it was Vincent who was talking to me about a warrior that is kind of like that, especially with people that you can hero power, like the guy that enhances your hero power.
Yeah,
and it can get, I think
this could be awesome. It's just a warrior that you can't kill.
I think there are tools out there to make an invincible warrior. I wonder if like they would give us tools also to counter that, right? Like maybe something that destroys a ton of armor.
Yeah, like an armor breaker. Yeah, I wondered about that too.
And it could be like a high cost armor breaker, right? So like aggro doesn't abuse it, but maybe like a 9 or 10 cost destroy 15 armor or something like that.
Interestingly, I think every card we've talked about today slows the game down. Like, if you think about Wilfred, that's a slow card. North Sea Kraken is absolutely a slow card. Savage Combatant is on the edge, but Tournament Medic and King's Defender are super slow cards. Like, they are not aggressive cards.
No, these are not aggressive cards at all. I was talking to Billy about it, and this expansion just seems very... Just because they're trying to favor the hero power, and that is just not very proactive, right? You're not putting minions on the board. You're just doing a very small effect. It just seems like you're getting a lot of cards that slow the meta down, or that slow it down enough so that this decks can actually do what they're meant to do, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's actually going a lot it reminds me kind of a Magic direction of it's being more about developing a board of things that affect the board in different ways, and then using your hero power to like subtly affect that board. So it's like getting things down like the Tournament Medic and all of these more lasting, slower creatures that kind of tweak the board in different ways, and then dealing with the new board state rather than just, dealing a lot of damage.
Yeah, it's going to be more about stalling until you can get these things online. But these things seem like they're going to snowball the game, right? Like once you have them in place, like you're going to get a great advantage out of that.
Right. So I can see cards like Brawl getting even more valuable, just like dealing with all these super high health effect minions at once. So it'll be interesting to see.
Yeah, mass removal, stuff like that is gonna be good. We'll see. I'm so curious to see how the meta evolves with this new Inspire. And the thing is, we've seen such a small fraction of the cards that I don't know. It's hard to tell still, but we can do some speculations.
Totally. Next up, we've got Flame Juggler. This is a much more tempo or aggressive card that we've been dealing with. It is a common minion, neutral, 2 cost, 2 attack, 3 health, and reads Battle Cry, deal 1 damage to a random enemy. So this guy's pretty interesting. What are your thoughts on him, Andres?
He is interesting. Huh. At first glance, it's kind of hard to just place him in something like... It seems a little defensive, right? You have a 2/3 for 2 mana, so you're already kind of on the defensive side, right? You're not trying to go on the offensive. And the random 1 damage to enemy seems like it's only going to be useful maybe early game against Face Hunter or like Aggro Paladin, where the creatures have like 1 health. Maybe it might be good to remove like creepers that you've exploded, or muster for battles. It could be good against like the mid-range paladin start, like Zombie Chow into muster, something like that.
Yeah, I mean, we've seen how awesome that Abusive Sergeant can be for the early game. Like, he's such a good play to counter aggro. The problem is you can't target this, and it can hit the hero. So that can kill the thing you're hoping to get out of it.
So yeah, it's kind of like RNG-ish to kind of like not make it super overpowered.
It reminds
me
of
I feel like a 2/3 that you can target that 1 damage, that would be really good.
Oh, yeah, that would be fantastic. But, I mean, that would just be so much better than Iron Forge Rifleman. It's not even funny.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think this is their way of, like, not making it, like, just extremely much better.
Yeah, it reminds me a lot of Mad Bomber, and that I think in Arena it will be useful. It can be a really good play to kind of gain some tempo while also getting something on the board.
Yeah, in Arena this might be nice.
But I don't see it fitting into any constructed deck, because I just don't think it's too kind of generic. It's too basic. It's just kind of like, it's a thing, but it's not really not really playing into a larger game necessarily.
Not really. And like, I was trying to think like maybe other combos that you can maybe have with this card. Like you can return it maybe to your hand and play it again.
Yeah, but it's not
honestly,
the best battle cry.
Yeah, the effect is not that significant for it to be good to be doing that. So I don't know. I
feel
definitely
like every
think it's
deck has
good
a-
for Arena as a 2-drop. It's definitely good. Maybe as a priest card, this might be good too. But even
it's another good solid deck for new players, since it is common for people starting out getting cards. Like it's a good solid 2-drop to have, which is important.
For sure. It's definitely solid. I guess we'll have to see. I feel like there might be more to this guy that we're seeing right now, but maybe not.
I feel like a lot of control decks, though, would rather just hero power on turn 2, especially given this set. Warrior would rather hero power and play out its more important minions, or Abusive Sergeant, or Fiery War Axe. Handlock would definitely rather hero power. And then more aggressive decks would want to play something more aggressive than this. So decks with a point like Tempo Mage or Mech Mage want to play something that either affects their spells or affects their mechs. Like everyone has a 2-drop they want to play. So where does this guy go in Constructed? And that's probably nowhere.
In Constructed is gonna be harder unless you're facing Face Hunter or Aggro Paladin. Like that 1 damage is most of the time gonna be insignificant or not very valuable.
He actually, to me, is just the 2-drop version of the Kraken in terms of how he's going to fit into the game.
Like a mini Kraken.
Yeah,
that's a good way to put it. Yeah.
Just a good basic thing to have, but it's not anything crazy. All right, next up,
I really like the artwork though. I'm sorry.
Oh yeah, the artwork's fantastic.
Yeah.
Anything Dran, I am down for. So next up, we've got the Colosseum Manager. This is a neutral minion, but a rare minion this time. 3 mana, 2 attack, 5 health, and it reads: Inspire, return this minion to your hand.
Okay, so this guy really intrigues me.
Okay, I can't quite figure out, are you going to be returning to his hand basically just to heal him up?
So, this is the type of card that makes me think that there's still other cards coming out that might have, certain things. Because on its own, this card seems rather terrible, right? But if it synergizes with something else, where bringing it to your hand might actually be good. Who knows? Because this is the other thing, another slow card, and this one is the epiphany
Super
of slow, right? Basically, you don't want a hero power unless you have a reason to send this guy back to your hand.
Yeah.
This also means that you don't really want to buff this guy because you lose any of the buffs that he has.
Yeah, so he seems... I don't know how this guy works. Where do you put him?
I don't know, maybe this is just speculation, right? But I could see it being good. Maybe if you have a deck where benefits from you having cards in your hand, and stuff like that, maybe you can bring this guy out to trade up for their small guys, right? So you trade efficiently with the 2/5 stats, then you bring it back to your hand, and then you can take advantage of your higher hand size to do
a
stuff
mountain
with
giant
it.
out or something. Yeah,
but again, that's really slow. So
it's super slow.
So unless you have a card that is taking advantage of that and is gonna put you back in the game, or is gonna have a great effect after you spending so many resources into this, I really don't see this card fitting anywhere.
Yeah,
but
it is the most confusing card.
But because it's there, it makes me think that there might be something else. Unless Blizzard just wants to troll us, right?
They're just giving us, just red herrings at this point. Look, we're going to do so. Yeah, it's hard to even imagine what the real synergy for this guy is. It's an extremely confusing card. Maybe we're just missing something really obvious, like some card that exists. It's it would be perfect with that. But all I can see to do with him is to heal him with that. And that's okay. But
the thing is, how are you going to heal him? If you're a priest and you heal him, it goes back to your hand, right?
No. What I'm saying is, you use it, you trade something, he's now a 2/2, you bring him back and then play him again, he's full health.
Oh, I see what you mean. But yeah, then at that point is what you're saying. Much. That would be so slow. Let's say the best case scenario, you play this guy on 3, right? And then on 4, you trade with him. You
can't even play him again.
You use your power, and then you coin him back out.
Oh, that's terrible.
But then on turn 3 and 4, the only thing you did was play a 2/5, while your opponent's bringing out shredders and all this other stuff. So.
I mean, in Arena, it'd be slightly better because you want full value out of everything. But I don't know. I feel like if this card had charge or something, it would be a lot better.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm just so curious about this card because he's also a rare. It's not even a common.
I'm getting messages from Vincent right now. Just OMG, pre-purchase, go, 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 go.
Oh, it's out. Nice. I do want to do that pre-purchase.
I actually want to check if the Tavern Brawl's up yet. Nope, not yet. All right. Can I see the pre-purchase in the shop? Maybe we need to restart the game. All right. So our next card we've got, which is a little bit less confusing than Coliseum Manager. We've got our final card for the day, Holy Champion. This is a common rarity minion. It is priest as well. 4 cost, 3 attack, 5 health, and it reads, whenever a character is healed, gain +2 attack. So this is like a big Light Warden.
All right, now we're talking.
Yeah.
This is a threat. Pretty much. This is he's in the vein of the Shadow was the Shadow of Naxxramas. What's the name of that card?
Oh, Shade of Naxxramas.
Shade of Naxxramas. I don't know why I forget that. He's kind of in that vein where it's a powerful minion that can get way out of hand, right? If you just keep healing your minions and stuff. Like, imagine this guy with a circle of healing in a board full of minions. That could be like a frothing berserker, right?
Yeah, it reminds me again, the Light Warden, but it's a survivable Light Warden, which is really fantastic.
Great
surviving
stats
that one turn.
Too. This 3/5 with this ability is really good.
Totally. You can play into your Wild Pyromancer, Circle of Healing, and then craziness will ensue.
Not to mention that in Priest, this guy can have a very long life.
You can keep healing him, and that'll make him more powerful.
Yeah, absolutely. No, this guy is a powerhouse right here. Definitely a card that Priests needed for the aggression, because Priests, their early game and their mid game is just so passive, right? Unless you get like an amazing start with like the Cleric, Circle of Healing, and then your Blade Master, you're usually kind of on the passive side and just trying to get value out of your creatures. But this guy puts you on the offensive right away.
Right. Yeah, it gives you a nice, solid 4-drop, which I don't think Priest has right now. I'm trying to think of what they can play. It's typically like, Shadow Madness.
4, they have Akinai.
Yeah, you don't want to drop
Shadow
that,
Madness. They have...
It's all reactive stuff. Like, currently they all have reactive
right?
stuff. So if you don't have something to react to, you don't have anything to do. And this actually gives you a way to put something that your opponent has to react to.
Yeah,
which
absolutely.
Priest could use more of.
Super solid. The 5 health also makes it really good for Priests. So
yeah.
I expect to see definitely a competitive ladder deck with the Holy Champion for
this
sure.
This is a card I definitely see getting used. So awesome, Priest gets a good card. Let's see them climb the ladder once more.
I'm
ready
excited for
it.
Shamans and for Priests. I think next month those are gonna be my first experiment, Shaman and Priest.
Yeah, Shaman and Priest. It depends if that Turtle Warrior becomes a thing. Then that might be where I'm going first.
Oh my god, no! If I couldn't do Control Warrior already,
no.
Turtle Warrior is just gonna be the bane of my existence.
The ultimate thing though is Turtle Warrior needs to run Oasis Snapjaws.
It's the only way to make it legit.
Exactly. All right. Well, that's all the cards we have. I'm really excited about this set going through these cards.
Yeah. This couple of new releases are really starting to make it shape up.
Mm-hmm.
There's still a lot of mysteries in there that I still want to see what's gonna come out. But I'm sorry, what were you gonna say? There's not a lot of what?
There are not a lot of like crazy powerful effects, but I'm okay with that. Like I like that it's slowing the game down, and they're subtle cards for the most part.
Yeah. And also you have to remember that some of the most powerful effects sometimes are not there at first glance, right? Because you're looking at each card individually just by itself and kind of like trying to think what it can combo from the top of your head. But things like, for example, Patreon, right? The Grim Patreon looks so unimpressive when you just saw it on its own. But once you see it in action with after it's been play tested with all the cards around that strategy,
such a broader context.
Yeah, it's clear to see that that card is amazing.
Coliseum Manager, the next Grim Patron.
Yeah, there you go. That Coliseum Manager, I don't know. It has me so intrigued. It's one of the cards that has me the most intrigued there. It could be just a fad, just like, nothing special about him. Maybe he has like a little cool synergy with something else, but that's it. But this is the type of card that seems great for combos, right?
Yeah.
Because you can keep doing this indefinitely every turn And depending on what combos are out there, it could do something cool.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it reminds me a lot of cards you'd see in Magic and be like, this makes no sense. And then down the line, you're like, oh, okay. And I'm cool with Hearthstone getting more of those. So we'll see.
Absolutely.
We'll see what shapes up. All right. Well, before we close out the show here, we do have some listener topics to go through in lieu of our own topics this week. So the first one comes to us from Lax. That's the Twitch nickname, so he wanted to use it. He says, hello, Hearthaholics. I'm new to the podcast. I haven't listened to much, but I'm a pretty advanced player and have a question. And I'm having to kind of edit this because it's a little bit hard to read, so I'm editing on the fly because I forgot to edit it for you.
Sure.
Okay. Do you think the new Inspire card is going to be a support part of the game or like a whole new archetype, such as Patron, that gets a whole new deck built around it? Also, I am a huge combo and control fan with my 3 favorite decks being Handlock, Double Combo Druid, and Oil Rogue. So what do you think the Grand Tournament will do to these decks?
I just want to say before we go into this, great choice in decks. I approve of all those decks.
Exactly Andres's.
That is like right up in my vein of play, yeah.
This is true. So it's that combo control. It's that control that has a win condition it's pushing for that you like. So tackling your first part, the Inspire card being a support part of the game or a new archetype, I am heavily in the side that this is going to be a support part of decks. There might be some Inspire based decks, but I think Inspire cards are just going to become a part of archetypes. I don't think it's going to be like you have your Inspire cards and then you have your decks that have nothing to do with Inspire. But what do you think, Andres?
I disagree a little bit.
Okay.
I think just because this is a much larger expansion, unlike Blackrock Mountain, where they're trying to introduce the Dragon Tribal, right, and it just didn't work out as well because, to be honest, there wasn't enough room for them to really deliver that. With a 130 card expansion, I think they do have a lot more leeway to actually make this into a very viable archetype. We saw this happen with GVG. The mech archetype became one of the top decks for quite a while. A lot of people were taking it to tournaments, and it became a dominant deck in the ladder for quite a bit. I think with Inspire, there's going to be at least 1 or 2 classes that are going to really be able to use it. And I think we're going to see an Inspire-based deck that is solid, that make it on the ladder.
I can see that. I guess my thing is like, I don't think that there won't be any decks that base around Inspire, but I think the primary impact of Inspire is going to be to shape how the game is played as a whole. Similar to like the biggest breakdown of the mechs were things like Healbot and Shredder and things that could just go into decks. I think Inspire is just going to make the entire game turn more towards hero power. Every deck is going to have 2 or 3 Inspire cards in it because they're just good cards for what you're trying to do.
I do agree with that. Although I do think that there's going to be like one deck that is going to be based around the Inspire mechanic, and it's going to be solid. I do think that you're right. There's going to be sparkles of Inspired in existing decks, right? Especially if they can find one that really fits the strategy for it. Like, why not? Right. Inspire is kind of like a thing that makes your hero power a lot better, and most decks tend to hero power quite a bit at one point or another, right?
It just shifts the decision making.
Yeah, exactly. So if you have maybe like, I don't know, 2 to 4 cards in your deck that take advantage of your hero power whenever you trigger it, especially towards the late game, you can really start taking advantage of this.
Yeah, and that's really the whole thing about this. The Inspire mechanic, I mean, it has its own name and everything, but it's just part of the broader thing of this deck, which is honestly, like Wilfred, for all intents and purposes, has Inspire. The Lady of the Lake, or whatever that card is called, Maiden of the Lake, that has Inspire. In that these are all telling you use your hero power more, and that's a consistent mechanic even past cards that literally say Inspire on them. And that's kind of the whole thing about the deck, about this whole set, is there will probably be decks that completely base themselves around hero power, but I think every archetype, or the vast majority of them, are going to be touched by this overall decision to increase the use of the hero power.
Yeah, I agree with that. I expect to see maybe a slight change in the metagame. I would be very surprised if the same thing that happened with BlackRock happens, where there's a new deck and then everything else kind of like stay the same, and there was like some mild modifications. I mean,
to face that new deck, yeah.
Thorsen did make quite a big splash, and he did make a lot of combo decks possible, and brought back kind of like Freeze Mage and stuff like that. Right. So it wasn't like things didn't change, but I think this is going to be a much bigger shift, especially because as I was talking to you earlier before the show, I think that the more cards that get added, the more if it becomes kind of like an exponential growth. Because in the beginning, there's a small card pool, and then they add just a little bit, and the change in the metagame is going to be there, but it's slight. And then the more and more cards that happen, then the more deck possibilities that become possible, just because there's more cards to combine them with.
Right, there can be this this one card back from set 1 that suddenly can combine with this, and there are all sorts of the possibility space becomes much larger. Every card has more things to consider.
Absolutely, people can get a lot more creative, and then even things that are not even planned tend to happen, right? Because it's when you have a smaller card pool, it's easier to plan how the effect of one card is gonna have on the other cards. But once that pool gets a lot bigger, even if you're a developer with a lot of knowledge, it's just gonna be very hard to predict. So there's always that chance that something they never play tested comes out.
Right.
And this just becomes more notable as more expansions comes out. So I don't know. I have big hopes for this one. We can already see that the ladder is very diverse. Unless there's like a ton of power creep with these cards, I expect to see even more variety.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think something that I'm really excited about with this mechanic compared to the GVG mechanic, which is the whole idea of mix, is that this one, as we were talking about, you don't need to have a deck built around this mechanic to make it work. So in GVG, something annoying, like if you're picking mech cards in Arena, you're like, well, I need to really hope I have another mech or have enough mechs, or else this card, isn't really doing much. The nice thing about this mechanic is everyone has a hero power. So even if you're not building a deck around it that has all of the synergies, you're always going to be aided by what the card is doing because you can always use your hero power. So it's just a much more open mechanic that not only synergizes with other things with the same mechanic, but also as a sole card is still giving you its benefit. So
I agree completely with that. I think this mechanic offers a lot of creativity to deck builders, just because the same card has such a different effect depending on which class you're using it with, right?
It's really smartly designed. I'm really excited about it.
Yeah, very, very cool mechanic. I can see a lot of possibilities with it. My only fear is, since it's a slower mechanic, how it's going to match up with the current pace of the ladder.
Yeah, we'll just be like, none of these are viable. Keep face huntering.
Kind of like what happened with dragons, right?
Yeah, that's a really good point.
But to be really honest, I think that they are very aware of this.
Yeah.
It's not like they don't understand what the meta game is.
They see the stats.
Yeah, they have the stats. They have a much broader view of how this is gonna pan out. So I think, like I said, I think they're keeping this in mind, and they're gonna introduce cards that are gonna address that kind of problem.
Yep. So going on to a second question here, how do you think that those decks that you love, Handlock, Oil Rogue, Double Combo, what do you see them? How do you see them changing with these new cards?
So hard to tell right now.
It really is.
The Double Combo Druid, you could see, for example, that new Druid card maybe making it over there, because it's quite nice for the stats, and then the hero power becomes really strong with that. I can see Double Combo even shifting a little bit into the beast side, right?
Right. Yeah. If you get some 7/7s out there, that's pretty impressive.
Yeah, if you can get a 7/7 in turn 5, that's pretty good. If you can get a 5/4 that makes your hero power in turn 5, that's pretty good. Who knows what other beasts might come out, if any. There might be some neutral beasts, but at the same time, we can maybe start seeing like an aggressive druid that has a lower curve, right? It doesn't rely so much on getting that wild growth on turn 2, but maybe has some of the smaller beasts and then a bunch of ways of buffing it and Savage Roar and stuff. Good stuff. Like there used to be like that token druid back in the day.
Do combo decks typically do better against aggro or control decks?
I would say probably against control, because they have a larger time to establish their combo.
To get off their combo.
Yeah, well, with aggro, they're kind of on the clock.
Then if the game really is going to be slowing down, that could be something of a buff to these combo decks, because they have time to get what they want done without being rushed down. Because there are more, it's looking like there are going to be more ways to deal with aggro going forward.
Yeah, for sure.
So that may help them out. Unfortunately, Turtle Warrior is going to wreck them, because it's going to...
They're not going to have enough damage.
Yeah, they literally, if they got their perfect combo, it only
literally they will use every card in their deck and still not kill you.
So Watch out, Lax. You can't face me on ladder because I'm going to be behind my wall of armor.
Oil Rogue, I have no idea. Because he mentioned what? Handlock, Double Combat Druid, and Oil Rogue.
Yeah.
It's so hard to tell right now. It might be that Oil Rogue kind of stays the same, and you just see a completely new type of rogue come out.
Yeah, that's what I'm wondering too.
Like
I would love to see a new rogue.
They have a lot of unexplored cards, and those might be cards that might become a little better depending on what comes out. Because Blizzard has done this in the past, where they've introduced cards that take advantage of underused cards in the current meta game, and those suddenly become good.
Mill Rogue.
I would hate Mill Rogue, although I think that Blizzard kind of likes Mill Rogue.
Yeah, Vanish. Buff Vanish. Yeah, I'm curious to see. I mean, you can see Oil Rogue being around because it's so weapon based, and now the hero power. Like, I feel like Rogue in general is going to have trouble in this set, just because I feel like its hero power synergizes.
I don't know. I have a feeling we haven't seen much from Rogue, but I just have this feeling that Rogue is gonna get like a big makeover.
Yeah. Because it's weird, because you don't really want to be hero powering every turn with Rogue. So, like, it's not as easy to inspire with it. It's often very awkward if you have a poison weapon or a weapon or any weapon equipped, you can't hero power all of a sudden. So, like, these new mechanics become really awkward. So, yeah, it's going to be interesting where Rogue is going to have to go going forward.
Yeah, I mean, they do have that weapon that kind of makes them want to keep hero powering, right?
Right.
It just seems so scary to bring out that weapon in the current meta game. But who knows if that's going to be the current meta game later on, right?
Totally.
Because if everyone's playing inspired decks that don't really run a lot of weapons, and Harrison Jones and the Oozes kind of like drift away, and then suddenly Poison Blade might have a chance to shine.
Yeah. Oh, gosh. Not Poison Blade. That is true, though, that it allows you... Poison Blade, I think that's the one thing we didn't think of with it, is that Poison Blade allows you to do is hero power every turn.
Yeah.
And that we totally missed that synergy, and that actually could be big, because you'd want to be doing it more than a normal dagger, because typically, if you, like, equipped, the 5-cost weapon we were talking about that just seemed better, the first time you hero power, you lose your entire weapon.
It would be terrible for rogues. But not if you have the blade.
I totally switched my opinion on Poison Blade. I didn't think anything can make me do that. Yeah. That's crazy.
And to be honest, maybe Poison Blade is a one-off that you maybe bring out later on in the game, right? Maybe turn 8, you play Poison Blade and then Oil or something like that.
But if Rogue has a really good Inspire card, that could be an important card to synergize with it. So we'll have to see what it has. Okay, well that's really interesting. All right, going into our second email, I was just caught completely blindsided by Poison Blade having a point. Blizzard's smarter than I give him credit for, just waiting for that Coliseum manager epiphany.
The truth about it is that we're gonna be so wrong about some of these cards just because we haven't seen what else is out there, and this is all a speculation. But I don't know. I think it's really cool to kind of like start thinking about it.
It's fun. It's super fun. It's like you said, it's those aha moments where everything's unexplored territory.
That's my favorite part, where you see a card and you're not very impressed, and then you see it do something, you're like, oh, you can do that?
I get it now. All right, so this one comes to us from Silver Fox, who has sent an email before and also left us an iTunes review. So thank you, Silver Fox.
Oh, thanks, Silver Fox. This is very nice of you.
My strategy from GVG was to buy a bunch of cards. The pre-order deal that Blizzard is running sounds good for that. It's up now. Go. Buy. At the get-go and fill up my collection with arena runs. Now, I still have plenty of cards from the Classic and GVG sets I don't have in my collection, but they're the ones that I wouldn't play much anyway. I was wondering if you guys had come up with any strategies on how you plan to do this. So I guess it's the question of, as things move forward and this new random arena pack is going down, like, what is our game plan going to be for filling out our collection, buying cards, and that sort of thing? So, Andres, what are you going to be doing?
So I'm kind of in the same boat as you are, Silver Fox. Mm-hmm. I have most of the cards. I'm just missing a couple of the classic ones and a couple of the GVG ones, but they're like Lork, Walker Cho, and like Gruul. I think I'm missing like the Hunter legendary cards.
Right.
All the ones that pretty much you never use. And I do want to get them. I do eventually want to have a full collection. I think that'll be pretty cool because I love this game and the collectionist in me wants to. But I think for now I'm just gonna straight go for the grand tournament. That's what I did with GVG. Just buy packs of the grand tournament until I can get most of my collection there. There's gonna be a couple of cards left. Same with GVG.
Right.
And then I don't know, maybe go back. I've found myself going back to buying classic packs just for the chance at getting some of those legendaries.
I totally agree.
I don't even have that many left of like GVG, so it's like not even worth for me buying GVG packs.
So yeah, that's the thing. Classic was so much bigger than the expansions, like twice or three times the size, that it's pretty easy, especially originally when the arena reward was always GVG packs. It was pretty easy to catch up on GVG up to the point where Classic was going to get more likely to get you the cards you didn't have than GVG was. So for me, I am definitely doing the pre-purchase, and that's, I think, the way most of us are going to start into this.
I think that pre-purchase is going to be the best deal you get, right?
Right. So that's a good way to start. Beyond that, so I typically don't spend money on packs in this game. I typically play enough and complete quests, and I'm buying about 10 packs every month. And I think for a long time, all of those packs are going to be tournament packs. So that's probably how I'm going to start things out. Buy that. Just keep buying tournaments. And then there are some managers, like collection managers for this. You can probably look it up online that can take your collection into account and then give you like statistics on how likely you are to get new cards.
Oh, yeah, and tell you if you should buy GVG or Classic and stuff like that.
I haven't done that myself, but I would definitely look into that. What I like to do is, because I don't necessarily want every card, but there are still big cards that I don't have, is I'll look at legendaries and epics and just quickly make a list of like, this is how many legendaries I don't have that I want in Classic. This is how many epics in Classic I want that I don't have. This is how many in GVG, and this is how many, and then just kind of compare those, contrast them against how many cards this set has in total, and then kind of decide on that which packs to get going forward.
Yeah. And I did that too. I estimated the cost or the dust cost of what I'm missing right now. And I think it was like 25,000 dust or something like that.
Right.
And that's quite a bit for just
you can get it there.
For just like, like 20 cards that I have left. Or maybe 25. But yeah, you can do that. Over time, I'd say don't fret it, right? These cards are not the ones that you're going to be looking for to get a competitive edge or something. But you know what a good way of doing it is just start saving some dust. And once like a cool Tavern Brawl comes over, and you can think of like one of these cards that can fit well, like, oh, in this Tavern Brawl, like Hogger would be really good, or like Lore Walker Chill would be really cool. And then maybe you can craft them then to make it enjoyable for yourself and not just feel like you're wasting your dust or something.
Something else, I would say starting out, don't craft anything for the first few or at least couple months, because give the meta a little bit of time to settle, especially if you're looking to make competitive decks. There might be like this initial burst that this one legendary card is super good, and then it might completely drop off as things settle. And
you're talking about for the grand tournament that you releases? Oh yeah, that's what I did with GVG, and it worked out really well. I didn't craft anything for the first like 2 weeks, because honestly it's hard to tell what it's gonna be good. Just from what I got from the 40 packs that I purchased and some save up gold, I had enough, like, I got all the basic ones pretty much. Right. And I was missing like the legendaries, but then once I figured out which ones were good, just started buying it from dust.
Totally. Yeah, and just don't craft anything in the meantime. Just save up gold, save up dust, do that initial splurge so you just have a lot of the commons and rares to play around with, and then kind of see how things settle. Buy cards with your gold, or if you want to spend money on it, absolutely. Just buy grand tournament cards up until the point where you kind of feel the diminishing returns are settling in, and then just make that quick list of rares or epics and legendaries of each pack and kind of decide what direction you want to go going forward. And that's what I'm going to do, at least. So should work out.
I think most people that start playing around their time are probably like reaching kind of like this point where their collections are getting pretty complete, and then there's just like a couple of like outliers that you were not able to get. And I feel your pain, guys, because it's hard going back to the old classic packs and then hoping you're gonna get like that one card that you need that is not even that good. So yeah,
I would probably focus on the packs that had the most to give you, and then focus on dust for those outliers, and go that route.
Hopefully, down the line they'll give us like some sort of thing where the cards that are like really old maybe have like some sort of like discounted dust cost or something.
That would be awesome. I saw a really good idea that it would be cool if you got awarded dust based on how many Tavern Brawl wins you get in a given week. because it's not something that's like too much reward. But it'd be kind of cool if there was some point to rack up those.
That would be bad. Then maybe you can play enough Tavern Brawls to cover that one legendary that you have.
You
or
made
something.
for the Tavern Brawl. That'd be neat.
That'd be pretty cool. Yeah, I mean, one legendary a month that'd not be bad, and you play the game a ton.
Speaking of the Tavern Brawls, it's officially up. It is the Unstable Portals.
Okay, it is Unstable Portal.
Yes.
Oh boy.
So it looks like it's one of those choose your classes, then they give you a few random class spells and a ton of portals.
I wonder how this tournament's gonna pan out.
Oh, it's gonna be weird.
Unstable tournament.
Yeah. At our game night. Speaking of which, we'll go ahead and close out the show now. We are on iTunes, where you can listen to us. You might be doing that right now. And we got a new iTunes review from Sick of Sucky Music. And he gave us 5 stars and said fun stuff. So thank you very much for that. If you are sick of sucky music, you can check out Andres' music at Masseve Music, but we'll get to that in a second. You can email us for listener topics like we just read through at hearthaholics@gmail.com. We are on Twitter at Hearthaholics, and you can also check us out on YouTube or Facebook. Just search for Hearthaholics. We are a part of the Whales Are Whales network. Check out whalesorwhales.com for other awesome shows like this with other awesome people like us. And as Andres just alluded to, we do a game night for the Angry Chicken every Wednesday at 8 p.m. Central Daily Time. So check out the Angry Chicken subreddit /TAC podcast. And you can find me posting there every week about the game night we do. Mostly just hang out, talk over the internets, and play Tavern Brawls and random decks with each other and just have a bunch of fun. So definitely check that out and attend. It would be awesome to see you there. As for where you can find our other work, Andres, where can people find you on the internet?
People can find me on the Twitters at iPlayGames. You spell that IPLAI Games. You can also find my work, the music that I do, including the theme song for this podcast over at my website, massevemusic.com. You spell that MASSEVE music. Check it out.
All right. And for me, I am Lord Meldor on Twitter. That is LORDMELDORR. And all of my stuff is on Whales Are Whales. Been working a lot in different video game music podcast ideas and may have some announcements on that soon. So check that out soon if you're into video games and or video game music. And now for our flavored text of the week. I think I'll just nap under these trees. Wait, Blink Fizz, the unfortunate gnome.
Let the hunt begin.